Hi everyone, and today I'm going to be attempting to do part 1 of the Q&A. I say attempt because there's loads and loads of questions that you sent in. I think in total it was 106 questions. I have narrowed them down. Obviously some people sent in the same questions, so I've put it into one, and that got rid of a few, and then I've basically split the Q&A into two parts. This first part is about books and reading, and then the second part is all about personal and miscellaneous things. So, there'll be something for everyone. I think this one is going to be really bookish and nerdy and kind of what you would expect from a booktuber, and then the second part you can obviously find a lot more about me if you don't know much about me already. So in this video I've got 46 questions to answer. I know it's quite insane. I'm just going to have to be short, snappy and concise. I know I always say that, and the video is not going to be short and snappy and concise in the long run. For each question, if I don't say enough, you can just ask more in the comments and I'll give you further information. But I'm trying to sort of get right to the point straight away, otherwise the video is going to be like hours long. You know how much I can speak, and I need to calm down a little bit today. So it's going to be a challenge for me really, and a challenge for you to watch it all as well. But I think we may as well get going anyway. So the first section is all about favourite and least favourite things. It's basically 14 questions, and then all the other questions in the video are just about other stuff that's about books and cool stuff like that. What's your favourite book? Now I'm going to just say series and just list a few of my favourite series. So we have Warriors, Bear and Hunter, Scudagery Pleasant by Derek Landy, The Infernal Devices by Cassandra Clare, The Hunger Games by Susan Collins, Divergent by Veronica Roth. They're just a few of the ones that I absolutely love. What's your least favourite book? Now unfortunately they're both very, very popular and very hyped up books, but I didn't enjoy them, which are The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak and Will Grayson by John Green and David Levithan. I just didn't get a huge connection with them and much enjoyment from them. I found them very, very dull and maybe just not my kind of thing. Favourite book that you're required to read for school, and I'm going to select Holes by Louis Satcher. Normally you obviously read a lot of classics in school. I do think there's too much emphasis on this. I think there should be more emphasis on modern literature, but it's normally classic stuff. So I think just to read more of a modern book was really interesting and really exciting. I think I read that in like year 7 in the first year of high school and really, really enjoyed that one. And then the least favourite book required to read for school would have to be An Inspector Calls, and I don't know who it's by. I don't really care because it was absolutely rubbish. I found it very, very dull and uncreative, and I hated studying it. It did turn out that I actually did okay when we did assessments and stuff in it, but I hated the book. And then I have What's Your Favourite Warriors book, and one from each series. I'm going to have to select for the first one Forest of Secrets, and then for the New Prophecy series Twilight, for The Power of Free, Long Shadows, and for Omen of the Stars, The Last Hope. And then we have Who's Your Favourite Author. I'm just going to list a few of my favourites, basically the same authors that wrote my favourite series. So Erin Hunter, Derek Landy, Cassandra Clare, Susan Collins, Veronica Roth, Alison Goodman as well. I forgot to mention Eon as my favourite book. I love Eon. Yes, Alison Goodman as well is one of my favourite authors. The next question is, what's your favourite genre? I'm going to select YA with like fantasy and dystopia kind of books. I just love them. I really find them enjoyable and fun reads. I always find it really interesting as well just to explore and dive into a totally different world. What's your favourite classic book? And I'm going to give it to Black Beauty by Anna Sewell. It doesn't seem very classic-y, if that makes sense. It's a very easy read actually, and really, really enjoyable as well. I love the animal aspect of it as well. I always love animal books, and I think it was just a book that I really connected with, and I've always enjoyed it. Favourite fantasy book would be Eon by Alison Goodman. I read that earlier this year, and it was such a great high fantasy. The main character is great, and there's lots of dragons and stuff, and it's just really, really good. And then the next question is, who's your favourite fictional character? I'm going to say Katniss Everdeen from The Hunger Games. She's a perfect example of a female protagonist, really. She is a strong personality. She gives up so much. She has a great backstory behind her and what she does and stuff. It's all really, really good. I'm sure a lot of people would agree with me that she's a really, really good character. The next question is about who's your least favourite Warriors character. I'm going to have to say Dovepaw or Dovewing because I just don't connect with her. I think she's a bit fake, over the top. It's not really believable, and she did grow on me towards the end of the Omen of the Stars series, but apart from that I really didn't enjoy her. If you could only go to one bookshop for the rest of forever, where would it be, both physical and online? Physically it would have to be Waterstones because I love the atmosphere. However, the prices can be very, very high and crazy, so obviously I go online to Amazon where the prices are a lot cheaper. You can get new and used books, and there's a wide variety again. What's your favourite place to read? This would have to be my bedroom because my bed is nice and comfy and it's all quiet in here as well. I can really concentrate. I enjoy reading outside as well when it's sunny, but we don't really get much of a summer in England, so that's not very often. What's your favourite drink to have whilst reading? And it would be tea. Yes, tea. I've basically got it with me right now because this video is going to be so long and I need to drink tea because I love tea and tea is amazing. So those are all the favourite questions, and now let's move on to the other stuff questions, obviously still book related. What books are you looking forward to in the next few months? I'm just going to select the two that I'm hoping to definitely read in September, which are The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky and Iona by Alison Goodman. I know they're going to be absolutely amazing books. Have there been any books that you've had really high hopes for that really let you down? And yes, two of my least favourite books are actually very hyped up. The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak and Will Grayson by John Green and David Levithan. I had high expectations from them, but I was really disappointed. Don't flame me for not liking them. I know you all love them, but I found them very boring. What book do you reread all the time? And I'm just going to select the Warriors original series because the books are very easy to read. You know, I can get through a few in a day because they're so fun and exciting, and you always pick on something new and relive all those moments each time you read it. So I think it's a perfect series to reread. Which authors have you met? And I've only met really one author recently actually, who is Cassandra Clare, because not many authors visit my area. Normally it's all these celebrities and stuff that don't even write their own books. They get other people to write them for them and they go into Waterstones, and it's not fair. So they really need to get some more, how do I put it, sort of top authors in there, because when Cassandra Clare was there, it was like a sellout tour, if I'm going to put it in that way. Are the rest of your family readers? And not really, not like me. I'm quite obsessive, I suppose. My sister reads a little bit, she has a little book collection, but not really. My parents don't really read that much. I am the main reader. What is the top book you want right now but can't have due to money, availability, or whatever? It would be Insurgent by Veronica Roth, because I can't get it in the proper cover that I want. You know, the American cover that's like green and it's a little bit bigger than a regular size book. I have the first Divergent cover in that silver cover, which is the one that matches it, and I love them covers, but in the UK they brought out these disgusting purple and pink covers, which I obviously really don't want, so I'm going to wait until the proper cover, I'm going to put it, comes out, and then I'll get that. Any books you can't finish? And not that I remember really recently, no. I try to finish every book. If I have to skim it a little bit, I will, but I try to finish every book. I'm normally interested to actually find out the ending, even if I'm not enjoying it that much. And this actually kind of leads on to the next question, which is any books that we've skimmed through just to finish it. And yes, a lot of books I do sometimes skim through if I'm not enjoying that much, try get to an interesting part. Sometimes there's not an interesting part in the book, but I try and finish it anyway. And obviously my two least favourites, The Book Thief and Will Grayson, I did skim through a bit of them because I just wanted to finish them. I wasn't enjoying them all. What book genre would you like to tackle next? I'm going to give this to the horror genre. In October I'm trying to get into the horror genre a little bit more. If you have any good recommendations, please give them to me, because I think horror is quite an engrossing genre and it really gets you involved. It's very interactive, you know, you can be freaked out and creeped out and stuff, and that's kind of fun thing. I don't like it often, but I think from time to time they're a nice kind of book to read. Definitely want to get into that genre a little bit more. If you could have dinner with any author, who would it be and why? I'm going to give it to Suzanne Collins because, you know, I don't know loads about her personally, but she writes The Hunger Games, and of course those books are amazing. And then the film as well is very successful. She actually helped to write that, and, you know, she's just a legend, really. I think, you know, everyone would want to meet her, and whilst I probably have no chance of meeting her ever, you know, I think it would be cool to imagine that. What is the first book you can remember reading and loving? And I don't actually remember the names, but it was like little kids' books based on children's series on TV, and I think my parents read them to me. Obviously I've always loved books, you know, since even someone read them to me, and then obviously I started to read myself, and, you know, I've loved it ever since. What is your career choice in life, and have you read any books that think either helped you decide on that career or made you want to do that? And I don't actually know. I know that is really bad, but I should decide. You know, I don't know, so really no books have persuaded me. You know, they give me ideas from time to time, but I really need to decide on a career, you know. Someone help me, please, you know. I really need to decide as soon as possible. What book do you feel you can relate most to? And I'm not actually sure. I can't really find one book that fits sort of everything being relatable. I find aspects of book like the characters and stuff sometimes be relatable, but never a full book on its own. Though I'm soon going to read The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. I think that will be very relatable. What do you recommend to our subscribers as a must-read at least once in your lifetime book? And whilst I think most of you will have read it, The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins, There is something in there for everyone, and I just think it's a perfect book. You know, obviously there's the romance and the love triangle, which is more played out in the movie, but it's still in the book, and then the action and the emotion and just everything about it. You know, there's something for everyone. The dystopian, the fantasy, it's great. It's just action-packed and full of stuff for everyone. Have you ever read any non-fiction books or autobiographies? And apart from like textbooks and stuff from school, no, I haven't. I don't really enjoy them as much. Autobiographies, I would like to get into them, but I can never find any good ones. It's all these celebrity ones that don't even write the book. Someone else writes it for them, and you know, I don't want to read about them anyway, because their lives are just fake and rubbish, really. And I want to read about maybe an author or something. I don't really find many author autobiographies or biographies, actually. I want to read about authors and stuff, so maybe, you know, if some really good author released something like that, I would definitely buy it. Has being on YouTube and vlogging about books increased your book buying habits? And yes, it definitely has. I have bought so many books since I started. Obviously, I started on my old channel last year in April, and I think from April to December last year, I did something like 15 book hauls, and that is loads. I just kept watching these videos and seeing so many different types of books that I'd never heard of before. I hadn't even heard of the Hunger Games before this, and you know, it got me into so many different types of things, and I just had to buy everything, and I went really quite crazy, really, buying everything. This year I've calmed down a little bit more with my book buying habits, but I still have a crazy book buying obsession. How many hours per day or week do you spend reading books? And it really depends. I couldn't give a definite answer. I try to get through at least 100 pages a day, you know, in a regular day if I can. Sometimes I can't, but I usually can. You know, sometimes that'll take between an hour and 2 hours, it just depends. If you could live in any book universe or world, what would it be? And I'm gonna have to select the Harry Potter Hogwarts world, because I think that is so fun and magical, and you know, whilst there are bad things about it at times, you know, not as much as other worlds, it does sound very interesting, and I always love the sort of school atmosphere, but a very exciting school, you know, certainly not very boring. Do you ever listen to an audiobook if the book's so long in physical form that it puts you off? No, not really. I don't really enjoy audiobooks, actually. I don't normally enjoy the people that read them out, and you have to go at their pace, and sometimes, you know, you just don't get the same feeling, I don't think. I prefer to read the book myself. You know, if it was so long that it really did put me off, maybe I'd get it on my Kindle, but I actually enjoy seeing very long books on my shelf. I think they look quite nice. Whilst they're intimidating, I still don't mind. If you could be any character for at least one day, who would it be and why? Maybe actually Skullduggery Pleasant from the Skullduggery Pleasant series by Derek Landy actually might be quite interesting, because, you know, he has a lot of dark secrets and dark thoughts, which, you know, I would like to explore into them and exactly what he's thinking, because he doesn't obviously reveal everything. How long have you been an avid reader? And I think I've always enjoyed reading, as I mentioned earlier, but I think avidly, you know, reading a lot each day, the last few years I've really gotten into it more. Obviously finding a lot more about the YA books and things really interests me, and I've just really got into reading a bit more. I've read a lot more for pleasure as well. Have you seen or read Battle Royale? If so, which do you think is better, Hunger Games or Battle Royale? I don't like this comparison, actually. I mean, I'm not being funny to the person who sent this question. It's a perfectly fine question, but I don't like it when people compare these two. I have looked on the internet about these, and there's not actually, you know, loads and loads of similarities. There's quite a lot of differences, actually, but I haven't read Battle Royale, so obviously, you know, I am actually going to plan to read it at some point, actually. I've seen it, and it's quite expensive, the copy that I saw in Waterstones. I might get it online, maybe for a cheap price or something, because I do want to get my own opinion on it before I go by other people's opinions, but I'm really not too sure about it. I do think I'd still prefer the Hunger Games. What book/movie had you crying the most? And I don't only cry at books, maybe I'm a bit robotic. Sometimes I tear up over movies, though. I remember A Dog's Tale, I think it was called, about the Japanese Akita dog. I remember that was really sad, and, you know, I think I related to it with animals and stuff like dogs. I have a dog and everything. I think that was a really emotional movie. What did you think of Insurgent? I haven't read it yet, so I can't say. Obviously, I'm going to try and get it later this year when the proper cover, which is the American cover, comes out in the UK, because I love that cover, and I'm not getting that purple and pink cover. It's disgusting. Have you ever read Mortal Engines? It is a fantastic book. No, I haven't read it, but if it's so fantastic, I suppose I should look into it. Have you ever cried about something that happened in a book? And no, not really. As I mentioned earlier, I don't normally cry at books. I get sad and emotional over books, but I don't even tear up over books. Maybe it's just not that sort of, it's not as graphic, I suppose, as seeing it in like a film or something actually happening right in front of you. It's a lot more obvious in a film. But I do, you know, emote with the characters and stuff in open a book. I just don't cry over it. When comes your next book haul? And obviously when you sent in this question you didn't realise that I'd have one in August, but the next one won't be for a few months, I don't think. I'm not buying books as much this year, which is kind of a positive thing. I'm saving up for other things, like I'm looking into iPads at the moment as well, so I need to save the money, otherwise I won't be able to afford one. How many books do you have? And unfortunately I haven't actually counted up, unfortunately, before I did this video. Sometimes I do, but I think it's somewhere between 350 and just over 400, I think. So quite a good variety. That's counting all the fiction books and all the non-fiction books that I have. Can you recommend a really good book, either a thriller, horror, suspense type genre? And no, I can't, because I'm not really into those kind of genres. Obviously, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video though, I'm trying to get into the horror genre. Again, if you have any recommendations, please go ahead. Have you heard of the Dragons in Our Mist series and Oracles of series by Brian Davis? No, I haven't, but you know, if it's good, maybe tell me if it's good and I might check it out. So that is actually it. Yes, we have got to the end of part 1. I'm now going to film part 2 straight after this. I'm probably going to wear something different though, but you know, I am going to film part 2 right now just to get it over with. The video isn't actually as long as I expected. Don't know how short it'll be or long it'll be after editing, but we'll have to see. Hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to comment, rate, share and subscribe to show your support. I always enjoy comments because I'll always reply. I love that interaction with the subscribers. And obviously rate as well with a thumbs up if you appreciate what I do and you enjoyed it again. And just do all that other cool stuff because I appreciate it all greatly. And hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I can't wait to see you all in part 2. So see you all later.